Medjugorje is a place that has drawn millions, not just because of its reported Marian apparitions, but also due to countless accounts of miracles and unexplained phenomena. These occurrences range from physical healings and spiritual transformations to mysterious signs in the sky. As I dug deeper into the stories of Medjugorje's miracles, I found myself both fascinated and profoundly moved by the accounts of those who experienced them firsthand. One of the most commonly reported miracles involves the mysterious transformation of the sun. Many pilgrims describe seeing the sun dance, pulse, or change colors while they pray, an experience that for many feels like a personal sign from heaven. During one of these phenomena, a man named David shared his story with me. David had come to Medjugorje seeking solace after a long battle with a serious illness. Standing in the crowded fields with his rosary, he looked up to see the sun swirling, radiating different colors and casting a unique glow over everything around him. For David, this wasn't EUR/TM just a visual anomaly. It was a moment of deep connection with God. Though he hadn't been healed physically, his heart was filled with a peace that he said he never felt before. Beyond these heavenly signs, there are also remarkable stories of physical healing associated with Medjugorje. One of the most famous cases is that of a young girl named Maria. Suffering from a debilitating spinal condition that left her unable to walk, her family brought her to Medjugorje out of a deep, desperate hope. They joined thousands of others in prayer, visiting Apparition Hill and Cross Mountain, where pilgrims seek to find a connection with God and the Virgin Mary. On one of the last days of their pilgrimage, Maria reportedly stood up on her own. The doctors were stunned when they saw her walking, attributing it to an unexplainable recovery. To this day, Maria and her family attribute her healing to the intercession of the Virgin Mary, and the story has inspired thousands who come to Medjugorje seeking their own miracles. Another profound element of Medjugorje's miracles is the transformation that takes place in the hearts of pilgrims. While physical healings are well known, spiritual miracles are equally powerful. Many people who arrive in Medjugorje with doubts, anger, or grief find themselves leaving with a renewed sense of peace and purpose. A woman named Lucia shared how, after losing her daughter, she felt that her faith had shattered. Her visit to Medjugorje was not about seeking a miracle, but simply finding the strength to carry on. One night, during Eucharistic adoration at St. James Church, she felt an overwhelming sense of warmth and presence. She later described it as feeling her daughter DERTMM's presence with her, as if God was healing her heart and restoring her faith. Lucia returned home not with the answer to her pain, but with the ability to live through it with grace. The miracle of confession is another phenomenon that many pilgrims experience in Medjugorje. The Virgin Mary has emphasized the importance of confession in her messages, urging believers to cleanse their souls and seek God's forgiveness. In Medjugorje, confessions happen nearly around the clock, with priests stationed outdoors and in confessional booths. Many visitors say that their confessions here feel different, as if a weight they didn't even realize they were carrying is lifted. One man, Robert, shared how he hadn't been to confession in over a decade. During his pilgrimage, he felt a pull to go to confession, and in that moment he felt forgiveness not only from God, but also for himself. It was, as he described, a miracle of the heart, a moment of healing that went beyond words. Apparition Hill itself is the site of countless miracle stories. The hill is steep and rocky, but it is a place of pilgrimage where people pray the rosary and reflect on the mysteries of Christ's life. Many people climb it barefoot as a penance, and it's common to see pilgrims helping one another along the way. One evening, I met a group of young people who had brought their friend, Joseph, who had been struggling with addiction for years. They climbed the hill together, each carrying a part of his burden, both literal and spiritual. At the top, they prayed over him, asking for the strength to help him overcome his struggles. Joseph later said that moment was his turning point, that he felt a kind of freedom he had never known. It was an attempt, an instant cure, but from that day forward he began his journey to sobriety, saying that Medjugorje gave him the miracle of hope. One of the most talked about signs in Medjugorje is the scent of roses, often reported when there are no roses around. pilgrims have described smelling a powerful fragrance of roses on Apparition Hill and Cross Mountain, attributing it to the presence of the Virgin Mary. A young woman named Sophia shared her experience of smelling roses during her prayers on Apparition Hill. Sophia had come to Medjugorje to pray for her mother, who was undergoing treatment for cancer. She took the scent as a sign that Mary was interceding for her family. While her mother was healed immediately, Sophia says the experience strengthened her family, Yurtm's faith, and gave them the courage to face the challenges ahead. Miracles in Medjugorje also happen in the form of deep, unexplainable joy. People often describe feeling a lightness, an inner joy that they can't quite put into words. This joy is not necessarily tied to any specific event or answer to prayer, but rather Yurtm's a sense of profound peace that comes from being in a place so filled with prayer and devotion. One evening I sat with a man named Antonio who told me he hadn't been a believer before coming to Medjugorje. But as he spent time in prayer, attending Mass, and climbing Cross Mountain, he felt something shift within him. It was as if he had found something he didn't even realize he had been searching for. Antonio said, "I came here empty, and I'm leaving with more than I can carry." The stories of miracles in Medjugorje go on, from mysterious healings to the sense of peace that fills the heart. Each persona Yurtm's experience is unique, and many find that the true miracle lies not in what they receive, but in how they are changed. Some come hoping for a physical healing, and while they may not receive that, they leave with a healed heart, a renewed faith, or a deepened love for God. As I reflect on the stories and experiences of Medjugorje, I realize that the true miracles are as diverse as the people who come here. For some, Yurtm's the miracle of restored health. For others, Yurtm's the miracle of restored faith. But one thing is certain: Medjugorje has become a place where heaven touches earth, where the Virgin Yurtm's presence is felt, and where Yurtm's grace flows freely. And for each person who comes, whether they leave with a miracle or not, they are touched by something far greater than themselves. In the end, Medjugorje's miracles Yurtm just about what happens in that sacred village they learn more about what pilgrims take back with them, and how those experiences transform their lives forever.